misguide and mislead the people, and he will claim that he is the Lord. So this is his tribulation and trial. And what will happen is that when all of this is taking place, he will bring out, a man will come to him. This man will be a youth, a young man. And this man, because he will know that this is the Dajjal, he will know from his iman, from the ilm and from the sifat and from all of that, he will know that this is the Dajjal. He will come to him and he'll say, Antal kadhab, you are the liar. And Dajjal will turn to the people. They will say, do you believe me? Do you believe me? They will say no. He will then say, do you see that if I kill this man, this youth, and I bring him back to life again, will you then believe me? And they said, yes, we'll believe you. And in another narration he said, will you then follow me? And they said, yes, we'll follow you. So he will kill him, split him into two halves, and then he will bring him back together again as if he was living. And then he will bring this man, then he will bring back this man, this youth to life, and he will then say to him, do you now believe me? And this man will say, Anta al-a'war al-kadhab, alladhi akhbarna anka Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, mazdadna fika illa yaqinan. So he said, you are the one-eyed liar that the Messenger of Allah informed us about, and we have not increased except in certainty. Then he will grab hold of this youth, and basically he will try to kill him by striking him on the neck, but his neck will turn like iron, and he will throw him, and the people will think that he's been thrown into hellfire, but really he is entered into paradise. So then all of this is from the tribulations which are taking place. All of this is from the tribulations which are taking place. And what will then happen is that if we look at his followers, who are the followers of Ad-Dajjal and who are the people who will follow him, because this is important for us to understand as well, that from the followers of Ad-Dajjal, first of all, are the Yahud, the Jews, and the Ajam, those who are the non-Arabs in general, and Turk, those who are the Turks, who have a Turkish ethnicity. And we see that in that narration, a people will follow him whose faces are like battered shields, meaning their faces are flat faces. And this is referring, as the scholars explain, to those who are the Mongols. Those when you go past towards Mongolia, those regions, past in that direction, because he will come from Khorasan, and those who will follow them are those Mongolian, Turkic type of people whose faces are like flat. They have flat faces. This is how the scholars explain. That he will be followed by different factions of people. From them the Yahud, we see in the narration. From them these Turk. And also from the people of innovation, the Ahlul Bid'ah, certain factions. And likewise the women, the desert Arabs, the Bedouins, and likewise the women. Many of the women. So we've already mentioned the hadith about the Yahud of Asbahan. We already mentioned this hadith. Likewise, the hadith of those with battered faces, hammered faces. We already mentioned that hadith as well. Ibn Kathir said, وَالظَّاهِرْ وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْمُرَادْ هَؤُلَاءِ التُّرَكْ أَنْصَارُ الدَّجَّالِ. Ibn Kathir said that what is apparent, and Allah knows best, that the ones intended by this are those who are like the Turks, the Turk-Mongol type people. And likewise, we see that he will be followed by the A'rab, the desert Arabs, and there are examples in the Sunnah where he will come to some of the desert Arabs and he will say that if I give life to your mother and father, will you believe me? Will you believe that I'm your Lord? And he will say yes. Then two devils will come in the form of his mother and father, and then he will believe Ad-Dajjal and follow him. This is a Bedouin, Arab, and he will go to many of these types of people and deceive them, because they don't know any better. And likewise, as for the women, we see in a narration of Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, who narrated that the Messenger of Allah said that Ad-Dajjal will come and he will camp in a place near Medina. He will camp in a valley near Medina. And then the most people who will go out and leave Medina to go to him are the women. So women will leave the city of Medina and go towards him. To such a degree that a man will come home to his wife and to his mother and his daughter and his sister and his auntie, and he will tie them up. He will tie them for fearing that they will go out and leave to the Dajjal. Now this narration is declared authentic by Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah in Sahih al-Jami al-Saghir. You have to really think about this narration. You have to think this. How is it, what is it that a Dajjal has of deception, lies, trickery, apparent miracles, that the women in your household will want to leave and go out to him? What is it? This is something that's very scary, ya ikhwan. The fact that we can't fathom and understand what type of tribulation this man must have, that the women in your household, you would tie them up out of fear that they will leave and go towards the Dajjal. Clearly there's something that is appealing to them, to the people, to go to this man. So we seek refuge in Allah from the likes of this. So we have al-Yahud, we have the A'ajim, the non-Arabs from the Turk, we have the Bedouins, the ones who, the Bedouin Arabs and other than them. We have the women, and likewise we have the Khawarij, because we see in narrations in the Sunnah where the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, there will arise a people who will recite the Quran, it not going beyond their throats. Every time they appear, they will be cut off. Meaning they will appear in every generation, but they'll be cut off. And then the Messenger of Allah, he kept repeating this. كُلَّمَا خَرَجَ قَرْنٌ قُطِعَ. Every time a faction appears, they will be cut off. And he mentioned it 20 times. So imagine what's going on here. The Khawarij appeared during the time of Ali radiyallahu anhu. And the Messenger repeated this in this narration, as is reported by Abdullah bin Umar in Ibn Majah, and it's authentic, it's sahih. It's a Hasan in fact by Shaykh al-Albani. So then he mentioned it 20 times. Every time a faction appears, they will be cut off. Every time a faction appears, they will be cut off. And he went 20 times and he said that 20 times. That tells us that the Khawarij who are present now in our time as well, that they will appear in every generation or in many generations. And so they will continue appearing, and then the Messenger said, سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول كلما خرج قرن قطع أكثر من 20 مرة. I heard him say, every time they appear, they'll be cut off more than 20 times. And then he says, حتى يخرج في عرادهم الدجال. Until Ad-Dajjal appears in their midst. Dajjal appears in their midst. And we have another narration again from Abdullah bin Umar, a similar narration, and another narration. This hadith is also reported by Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As. And so we see this narration is reported from many different companions. Abdullah bin Umar, Amr bin al-As, and it is treated to be sahih. One narration is sahih and other narrations are hasan. So from this we understand that the Khawarij, the Ahlul Bid'ah, the people of desires, that they will be put to trial by Dajjal, because it's from their way to follow desires and follow their whims and their desires. So they will be put to trial by this man Ad-Dajjal. And as I said to you, the Khawarij, they appear in every single generation. They are present in our time, from the followers of Sayyid Qutb and Hassan al-Banna, and many of these people who are present today from the followers of Osama bin Laden. All of these are the Khawarij. They have the traits of the Khawarij, and from their qualities is jahl. They have ignorance. They don't have any scholars with them. You ask one of them today, name me one alim, name me your ulama, who are your ulama? And they will say Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden is not a scholar, he is a trader. He is a builder who takes bricks and puts bricks. That's his trade. So you ask them, who are your scholars? And they will give you names of people who are not from the scholars. And this is from so one of the traits of the Khawarij is that they are juhal. They are ignorant. They are ignorant of the usul of Islam. And they don't have any scholars. In history, they never had any scholars, because in history, they abandoned all of the Sahaba. And Ibn Abbas came to debate with them. There was not a single companion amongst them. That was their trait in that time. And in every single generation, that will be their trait likewise. There's no alim with them. No alim of the Sunnah with them. And so likewise, and this shows that they will be put to trial, that Dajjal will appear in their midst. So this then leads us to the descent of Isa alayhi salam at the end of time. And so Isa alayhi salam, he will descend when the tribulation of a Dajjal is getting, large and large. So he will come and he will descend in Sham, in Syria, and he will descend at a minaret in the masjid in Damascus. And in this hadith there is mentioned that anyone who smells his fragrance, who is a kafir, he will perish. And he will come and he will follow the Dajjal, he will pursue him, and then what will happen is that Dajjal, when he sees him, he will start melting like you see salt melting. And he will follow him to the gate of Lud. There is a place mentioned in the Sunnah, Lud. And this is the place where Ad-Dajjal will be killed. Now this place called Al-Lud, there's differences as to where is this place. And some people say it is a town on the coast of the Mediterranean. Today it's called Lidda. And some others say, well, no, it's actually a mountain in Palestine. And some others say, actually, no, it's a gate into Bayt al-Maqdis. There's a gate around Bayt al-Maqdis, and that gate is called Babul Lud. Right? And this is the most correct opinion. The most correct opinion is that Ad-Dajjal will be pursued by Isa alayhi salam, and he will be around where the Bayt al-Maqdis is, and there is a gate called Al-Lud, Babul Lud, and that is where he will be killed. And so the Shaykh also explains that at the same time, the mountain that is called Al-Lud, which is in that same area, it can mean both things at the same time. There's no contradiction. It can mean both things. La bas with that. So what will happen then is that he will be pursued by Isa alayhi salam, and he will attack him with a spear, and he will kill this enemy of Allah, and then he will shake his spear within him, and his blood will begin to flow, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will relieve the Muslims from his tribulation. This is when the tribulation of Ad-Dajjal will be finished and over by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the hand of Isa alayhi salam. But as soon as Ad-Dajjal perishes, this will now open the door for the next tribulation. And that tribulation is the tribulation of Ya'juj wa Ma'juj. So as soon as Ad-Dajjal, or shortly after he is killed, then this door will be opened of the Ya'juj wa Ma'juj. And these are tribes which are mentioned in the Quran. Inna Ya'juj wa Ma'juj mufsiduna fil ard fahal naj'alu laka kharjan ala an taj'ala baynana wa baynahum sadda. That's what the people said to Dhul Qarnayn. That indeed Ya'juj wa Ma'juj, they create mischief upon the earth. So will you make for us, set up something for us, between them and us, a barrier? And so this is what's mentioned in the Quran. And what will happen is that when they are released and when they come, they will pass by Lake Tiberias, the same lake that was mentioned by Dajjal, and they will pass and they will not leave it until it becomes dry. And then Isa alayhi salam, he will be commanded to go with his followers and go to the Tur, which is in the Mount Sinai. And the Shaykh mentions this is Tur Sina, the Mount of Sina, which is in that peninsula between Palestine and Egypt. So then he will go there, and as you know the rest of the story, they will make supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These people will come and they will leave devastation and destruction in every place what they leave behind. And then Isa alayhi salam, he will make dua, make supplication, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say